What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you've seen the thumbnail, then I think you already know what this video is all about. However, let me further explain why I am changing my build for my Royal Guard, as there are a lot of things that are involved in this decision. But before we start, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to see more ROX content in the future. Now let's get started. So first and foremost, why am I changing my Reflect, Regen, and Poison build for my Royal Guard? The first reason for this is because of my availability in the game. What do I mean by that? Well, it's been a few weeks now that I haven't been able to play the game that much. It's because I've been quite busy with other things IRL. So basically, my Royal Guard and Shura are AFK grinding most of the time. Probably 95% of the time that my characters are online, they are just AFK grinding. The remaining 5% is just doing the daily activities and events if there are any. And as you all know, the current build for my Royal Guard is specifically for PvP. The problem is, I haven't been really doing any PvP activities in recent weeks as well. I don't really join GVGs because my time during the weekend are spent with my family or friends, especially now that we are getting closer to the holiday season. And I only do KVMs 6 times a week just to complete the Kingdom Pass quests. The main reason for this is because I'm still at work during the KVM schedule. On top of that, I'm also making game reviews for other games like Assassin's Creed Mirage and Spider-Man 2, which also takes a lot of my time. Which is why I came to the conclusion to change my build to a penetration build that can strive in both PvE and PvP.
Nice.
Currently, my Royal Guard is not really that efficient in AFK grinding because I need to use multiple skills to clear monsters. That is why I want to change to a physical penetration build to increase my DPS and to be more efficient in AFK grinding. I'm not going to replace my weapon as I will still use a one-hand sword and a shield, and I will still use the vitality stat as my main stat. I will just change the cards, equipment, pet, and shadow equipment skills that I am currently using right now. I will create a new video about the changes once I have completed my transition. So stay tuned and subscribe to the channel to get notified when the video is uploaded. However, in terms of the pet that I will use, I've decided to get a Desert Wolf pet instead of the Verit or the Mark. The main reason for this is the stat and the talent skill of the Desert Wolf. My main problem with the Verit is that it doesn't provide any haste stat, which is a crucial stat for physical penetration builds. And the talent skill of the Verit is not that good as compared to the Desert Wolf. While the Mark provides a haste stat, the talent skill is also not that good as compared to the Desert Wolf. For the stats, I am planning to get at least 100% final physical damage bonus and 160% final physical penetration. For the elemental enhancement, I am planning to use a neutral enhancement for my Royal Guard. For the shadow equipment skills, I will just change the skills to the DPS skills instead of the tank skills. Again, I will provide you progress videos once I have been able to transition to this build. Now that is my first main reason why I am changing my build. On to my second reason why I am changing my build. Now this is quite subjective because this is based on my personal experience about the build. This may not be the case for other players, so take this with a grain of salt. As our server reaches the later stages of the game, I've noticed that the Poison and Reflect regen build is no longer that effective in KVM. Here are the reasons why. Number 1 is the time strategy in KVM. Now this is the most annoying part when I do KVMs, and I know a lot of tank users can relate to this. When we face an opponent in KVM that can't take my Royal Guard down, what do? They will run around in circles and try to avoid you until the time expires. Remember, you don't necessarily need to wipe out your opponent in KVM to win. You can easily use the time to your advantage. When one party has more members alive over the other party, that party will win the KVM match. And I can't really take them down because they can easily counter my poison damage by using Panacea, while the reflect damage will only trigger if they are attacking my character. So if they are not attacking me, then the reflect damage will be rendered useless.
Uncle Roger said now.
Can I blame them for doing this strategy? Of course not.
What?
Because this mechanic is part of the game. It's not like they are exploiting a bug or a flaw in the system. It's just a smart strategy to get wins in KVM.
That's so
Heck,
true.
if we were chasing wins in KVM, we will also do that strategy. At first, it was quite funny from my perspective. However, as I face this strategy every week, that's when I get bored with my build. One match will last for 10 to 15 minutes, and in the end, we will still lose because I am the only one standing in my team, and our opponents are just avoiding me until the time expires.
Hiya!
It came to a point where my teammates are asking me to remove my equipment so that I can be taken down, so that we can move on to the next match. I can't blame them because who wants to wait for 5 to 10 minutes watching you chase around players that doesn't want to fight and eventually your team still loses the match?
Come on, man!
This is the reason why I think the Reflect, Poison, and Regen build is not really suited for KVM because they can just avoid and use the time against you. Don't get me wrong though, this build is still OP in the early and mid stages of the game. During those stages, I can wipe out a 5-man party on my own. You can see that in some of my KVM matches that I posted a few months ago. These are the times when players don't have good equipments yet to counter the Reflect, Poison, and Regen build. Most players during those times also don't care about losing or winning in KVM because their focus is more on the progression to reach the endgame. In my opinion, this build is more suited for GVG. Simply because it's an all-out war in GVG, everyone attacking anything that tries to breach their castle defenses. And the main role of tank royal guards are to breach the enemy defenses in order for their DPS or breakers to get into the Imperium room. Now that is the time when you can really utilize your reflect damage. Another reason is, as we reach the endgame, players will likely have better equipment, stats, and skills. With that being said, in order to maximize the reflect build, you need to have a high PvP, final physical, or magical damage reduction. No matter how high your reflect damage is, if you have low PvP reduction stats, opponents can easily counter that through their lifesteals. The problem with the Osiris and GTB sets, these equipments doesn't provide any of those stats. So if your opponents in KVM have higher PvP, physical or magical damage bonus than your PvP reduction stats, they can easily counter your reflect damage by their lifesteals. I've seen these in one of my KVM matches where a ranger was able to sustain my reflect damage. Most of the time, attack speed characters are the ones who usually struggle against reflect builds. However, in this instance, this ranger has a high PvP final physical damage bonus, and he was able to sustain my reflect damage through his lifesteal. Don't get me wrong though, he wasn't able to kill my royal guard because I can easily regen the damage that I was taking. However, he can also do the same through his lifesteal. And that's when I realized that as we go on to the later stages of the game, when most players are now focused on PvP, and their stats and equipment are geared towards PvP, this build really falls off, especially in KVM. Now you can get PvP reduction stats by using the Murphy set, however, it means that you need to give up either your Osiris or your GTB set. Of course, you don't want to replace your HP cards with PvP reduction card stats, because you will lose a huge amount of your HP. And that's it for today's video. Remember, this is only based on my personal opinion and experience. As I've mentioned in my older videos, always play the game based on what is more convenient to your playstyle. I am merely giving you a guide on my own experiences playing ROX. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to see more ROX content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. GG!
You're a superhero.